You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.
Hello out there in podcast land. You have reached Johnny Has the Keys, where we talk about horror movies and science fiction films and those key elements that lift those films above the average genre fare. If you are joining us for the first time, we would like to welcome you. We're glad that you found us out there in podcast land, and we thank people that may have recommended us to you. And also, if you're a returning subscriber or viewer, we would like to welcome you back. Thanks for digging our nerdiness on these horror and science fiction adventures. I am here with my co-host, David Horton. How are you doing, David?
I am doing well, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I was working on my PBS voice. I don't know if that's...
Yeah, it is. I like the lilt you're adding for it today. That very PBS sort of sound. That's a good one. Yeah.
What's been going on in your genre week?
Oh, well, I had a present for you, essentially, because episodes and episodes and episodes ago, you had mentioned the new Creep Show. And the fact that it was out and you had watched some of them, they were really good and yada, yada. And you recommended the first two to me of this new season, I guess, season 2 maybe or something. I don't know. Anyway, I found them and watched them and thought they were great. I was going, okay, now I'm going to be addicted to a new series and I'm going to have to start watching this.
They're not all great, but I would give them maybe a 75-25 ratio of being great or good.
Well, the two in question, for those of you who are long time listeners, you may know this or remember it from I think it was last season that you mentioned it to me. But it was, the first episode was basically based on the old Aurora models of Frankenstein and Dracula and a kid who was obsessed with them, and then the stepdad who comes in and says, "Get rid of this, you pussy," and all that. And so, yes, I identified a great deal with that character and the EC sort of vengeance of it all. The Creep Show.
I'm trying to remember who played the dad. He was famous.
It was one of the Matt Dillon.
Yes, it was Kevin Dillon. His brother.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yes.
That's right. From the Blob.
Yes.
The remake.
And it was just a really it was a nice Creep Show. It had the feel of King's Creep Show movie. It had the feel of the old comics. So it was really nice. And then they followed that with the one that was the Evil Dead kind of parody.
That was awesome.
Right. It was excellent. And Ted Raimi was in it and everything. So if you guys want some good horror, but good fun horror as well, both of those episodes of the new Creep Show are very good.
Actually, it's just one episode, but two stories.
Two stories in the first episode. Yeah. So it was great. I loved it, and I appreciate you turning me on to that one. That was good.
I think there's supposed to be 6 episodes, but like only 5 have aired. Because sometimes I think they tuck them back for holidays. Like they had a special last October. They had one at Christmas. But anyway, the last one, I think it's episode 5. You need to watch too. I can't remember the name of it, but it's about this guy that invents a virtual reality where you can insert yourself into old movies. It's great.
Okay.
It's really cool.
I like the premise. So
yeah,
I have to do that. What about you? What have you been doing?
Ironically enough, kind of what you've been doing. I watched a movie that I have had my eye on for 6 or 8 months. And never watched it because it was a full 2 hours. And usually I'm looking for something shorter when I'm going to bed. And I watched this one. It is called The Mortuary Collection. It is also on Shudder. We seem to be doing a commercial for Shudder right now.
Yes.
This is an anthology movie. which we don't see that many of these days.
No.
And it was 4 stories, I believe, with our friend, and I cannot think of his name right now, the guy from Starship Troopers.
Which one? Ironside? Michael Ironside?
No, he's younger. He's got blonde hair. He's like a character
Casper
actor.
Van Dien?
No, older. In the
Okay.
middle.
The Busey's brother.
God, I can't believe that I didn't write this down.
You were ill prepared for this.
I am ill prepared. He plays the host, who is that mortuary looking guy next to me.
Okay.
Except he really is a lot younger, and that's after he really ghosts out. He's just they just age him really well in this, and I don't know what to tell you. It's a really good anthology movie. The stories are more modern, but scary, a little funny in places. It just had all the great elements of a movie like Creepshow, except it didn't have the crazy lighting or anything, like they did to make it look like a comic book.
Was it Neil Patrick Harris?
No.
And the blonde guy.
He was one of the military guys, the sergeant.
Oh,
The
he
drill
also
sergeant.
played the Kurgan in
Highlander. Yes, that guy.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep,
Because
I know
they
exactly what you're
make
talking about.
They make him up to look a lot like Angus Scrimm from
From the
Phantasm.
Phantasm movies. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I read that it took like 2 hours to get him into makeup. Why can I find
Clancy Brown.
Brown? That's it. Exactly.
Clancy Brown. Yeah.
So he was not the typical person I would cast in this role, but he did fine.
No.
He and one of the girls who happens to be in the last one are kind of like the co-host of telling these stories. It's like a storytelling thing.
Okay.
And I read that the guy that directed it, I think it was his first major movie, but he did a small movie, like an indie, called The Babysitter Murders, that was kind of a takeoff on John Carpenter's original title of Halloween. And the last story in this collection is his expanded version of that, The Babysitter Murders.
Okay.
Which has got a unique twist to it. So, but yeah, I would recommend it. It's not, Academy Award winning cinema, but it's nice to see anthologies, and we've been talking about them, which is kind of weird. We're on the same wavelength.
Mm-hmm. I think that was a missed opportunity. I mean, I think people have tried different things, whether it's Creepshow or Twilight Zone or, Mortuary Collection, whatever. People tried at different times to do them, and they just never seem to catch on. And I don't know why. It's like, the experience of a book of novellas or a book of short stories is always great. As a matter of fact, I listened to an interview.
Different authors.
Yeah, but I listened to an interview a couple of months ago just with King talking about, I guess, one he did a couple of years ago that was his latest short story collection, and I've never read it. I haven't read one story in it, so I need to get that book and read it. But whatever his latest collection of short
Sometimes
stories.
he does them with novellas.
Yeah, I think it was, again, like one of those where it had like 4 in it or something, like he did with
right.
Shoot, the one I'm talking about, the one about the
4 Past Midnight.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So I don't know, but anyway, I think I wish there was a stronger appetite out there for that. For that, I'm hoping. We've talked about it before, but I'm hoping the new Strange New Worlds, the new Star Trek series, they say it's going to be episodic, and I'm going, good. That would be nice. Again, I would like to see that, rather than every single season being one frickin' story that you're just stretching out each episode. So
it might be fresh to revisit it, like a fresh idea.
Yeah. I mean, you and I, on a sister podcast, we're doing X-Files, and they did that, they had episodic stories. Then they had an undercurrent that they could tie through, but it was not, if I miss this week, I can't watch it again because something happened. They killed off a main character and now I don't know the rest of the story or whatever. So anyway,
Anyway,
enough about that, killing off main characters and things like that, or trying to continue stories in different mediums.
from television.
Listen to our segues.
Let's fish for a segue.
They're stunningly segues. We are doing my genre world this week. So you science fiction fans, sit up and pay attention. Hopefully you already are, because you clicked on it because you saw the title or an image from it. So, but we're excited because I'm excited. I don't know about Tim yet. We'll find out. But I'm excited because this week we're doing a little film written and directed by one of my favorite writer-directors, Joss Whedon, the man responsible for Buffy and Angel, and then went on to the Avengers, went on to the DC and had this huge controversy, but we don't care, or I don't. But it's called Serenity. It is the movie sequel to the very unfortunately short-lived series called Firefly. Before we jump into it, Tim, had you seen this movie before?
I could have sworn I had. I still think I did. I didn't remember much of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was watching it, it took me a moment to get into it, because I was like, this feels like there's stuff I should know from the series.
Yeah, it's definitely a medias res, but you're going, what? Did I miss something? Yeah.
But after I watched after I got into it, I was fine. I like it. I think it's a good movie. It makes you kind of wonder if they could have done more.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like a love letter to all the fans and everything else. It has a lot of comparisons, a lot of keys to Star Trek in general. I think it probably is the second best movie after a television series in history. Trek and Wrath of Khan, which we've already covered, being the first, I think. But second place, I think, would go to this. Even above X-Files coming into a movie out of the, because
the first X-Files movie was not fantastic. I really liked the second one, and most people hated it.
But see, I'm the same as you, though. I liked the second one and didn't really like the first one. Same way I'm similar to, Motion Picture and Wrath of Khan for Star Trek. But
Right.
Serenity basically came about because Joss and the fans wanted to, do one more story. The history of it comes about because this was a series that only had I think it was 18 episodes and got canceled by the network. And even before that, they had manipulated it so much that they basically ruined it for fans. It was more of a serialized sort of story arc, because Joss learned from both Angel and Buffy that, you can tell episodic stories, but, have that overall big bad thread of the season, almost like Babylon 5 did, and end it with, your big boss battle kind of things. And that was the purpose, or that was the intent of Firefly. But the studio didn't like the episodes that they were doing, so they rearranged all the first 5 episodes. So everybody, think about how you felt going into this movie, going, wait, am I missing something?
Mm-hmm.
Think about doing that every week for 4 weeks in a row, because they're all out of order. They make no sense, because they just wanted the story rather than the storytelling. Make sense? Sort of thing. So then the ratings were horrible, so they canceled it after 18 episodes. Had you seen the series at all? Have you seen the series? Any of it?
No, that's why I said I felt left out, because I have not seen the series.
Well, I have a confession to make, because I did not watch the series when it aired. I had heard about it, but by the time it kind of filtered down to me to say, ooh, this is really some cool, different kind of science fiction, you need to jump into it, it was canceled. So I had to wait a few years until it came out on DVD and finally watched it. And the first time I watched it, I didn't like it. And I was going, it was just too Western-y for me.
Is it because did you say it was aired out of order?
Right. And I found out when they did that DVD, they did it out of order. They did it in show order rather than in intended order.
Has it been released subsequently correctly?
I think so. But anyway, a friend of mine said, no, you got to, and showed me the article online, everything else. You got to go and watch it in this order. It's like 5, 2, 3, 1, then 6. And I was like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And once you did that, I could start. It starts out really gentle with the characters and they build. Whereas before, suddenly I'd been watching it for 3 episodes and now suddenly they're introducing this character and her brother. And I'm like going, what? Wait, they've been on the ship for like 3 damn weeks, sort of thing.
Strange. That's very strange.
So it made a lot more sense. I still had issues with it because to me it was extremely low budget for what they were trying to do. So it was a lot like Star Trek in that our original Star Trek, where it was like, oh, we have to have it in downtown Tombstone this week because that's the only set we can afford.
Right. Like an Earth-like planet.
Yeah, Earth-like planet, that looks like Mayberry.
Yeah.
That even has Floyd's barber shop,
I mean, I'm confused though, because by then I thought he was pretty big with Buffy. Why did they rake him over the coals like this?
They've done that to him twice. Another series that I really like, and it had 2 seasons, but it was cut short. Our season and a half, it was cut short, was called Dollhouse. Mm-hmm. And it was a really neat series as well, and very science fiction, very Joss Whedon. Again, great characters, great bonding of characters, great female characters, great dialogue. But it just didn't do what the studio wanted, so they canceled it. So it happened to him twice, and it was kind of interesting that he was able to get the financing to finally do Serenity and do it as well as it was. Did you like the movie? You said it was okay? You liked it?
Yeah, I think it's cool. It reminds me, and this is a key, a lot of Star Wars, not Star Trek.
Oh, definitely.
Because they're very scrappy, and there's lots of elements of scrappiness to it that I related to, like I did in Star Wars.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a huge key for it, because it's a space swashbuckler. It's a
they're space
opera.
Pirates. And
yeah, they are.
That was a huge key for me, not to any film, just to pirates in general.
Oh yeah,
they reminded me of pirates. They were out to make money. But they were still good guys, kind of like Harrison Ford.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, Mal, the captain, Malcolm Reynolds. Was his brown coat name, but Mal is, he is Han Solo. Mm-hmm. It's basically that character, heart of gold, but hard on the outside kind of thing. Mm-hmm. He's a lot meaner than Han is, but he has to be. Well, so a brief synopsis for those of you who, for some reason, you're listening to us now and you haven't watched it, go watch it now and come back. But just to remind you, if you haven't watched it in a while, takes place in like the 26th century. Earth is gone. Basically, Earth could not be sustained. So colonists have gone out and they've founded a new solar system. And this is after a huge war that has taken place between the Alliance, which is really the center planets and all of the core planets, and the outer planets, which were the Independents. And the Independents essentially lost. The Alliance won. The story follows a young girl named River Tam, who basically has been mentally conditioned by the Alliance to become not only a psychic, but a huge assassin. She's like a weapon. The movie begins with her being rescued by her brother, Simon. And then they end up being chased by an Alliance assassin called the Operative. That's his only name. That's the way he's called in the script. That's the way he's called in the credits, the Operative. And then we suddenly cut and we find ourselves aboard Serenity, which is captained by Mal Reynolds. And he has a ragtag group of smugglers, basically. They're in it for, just like you said, they're in it for a buck. But basically they are transporting River and Simon to safety, trying to get them away from the Alliance. And the rest of the movie follows them trying to do that and being pursued not only by this huge covert Alliance military, but by this Operative. What were did you have any favorite scenes or anything from it? Or scenes that leapt out to you?
Not any off the top of my head, but what I do recall is the cast is really solid in this,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all pretty much B actors from television or from soap operas. I think Nathan Fillion's actually from soap operas.
Well, every member of the cast was in the series. So all of them came from the series. Basically, the series is a continuation of like the first 15 minutes of this story. You meet Simon, you meet you meet River, and then you slowly meet the crew, and basically they're transporting them to safety. And then the series got canceled. So we don't really know what River is. We know she's crazy and kind of, if you trigger her, she can like kick people's ass, but we don't know why or what's happening really. And we never find out in the series. So this kind of helps explain that. In the series, you hear about the Reavers a lot and people are terrified of them, but you never see one.
So they're saying Reaver. I thought they were saying Raver.
No, Reaver, like a grim, like a reeve, rending Reaver.
I was thinking Ravers like 28 days later.
Well, same kind of thing, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things I thought you would like about this film is the Reavers, because they're freaking fast zombies. That's basically what they are.
They are. They are. I did like that actually, and I like the scene where she goes. And now that we're talking about scenes, I did like the scene where she goes in and tosses him out and seals the door, because I knew she wasn't gonna die.
Right. Yeah.
But she protects them. That whole scene where, I guess that's probably one of the better scenes that stick out to me. It's at the end in the climax where Fillion goes away. You don't know if he's going to live. The pilot's already died, and his other half is trying to maintain the group before the Reavers break through. I liked a lot. That's very zombie-esque though, because they're coming and you know they're coming, that kind of thing. So. Yeah.
And it's that standoff sort of feel too, but also a timeline. We've got to do it until he rescues, until he powers down the reactor, until he turns off this, it's again, Han Solo's on the little mission while they're fighting up here above the Death Star, above Endor's moon, kind of thing.
And I also like the scene that kind of introduced, I never can pronounce his name. Chiwetel?
Who are you talking about? His name is Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Chiwetel. His character, he played the bad guy for some reason. Oh, here we go.
Operative.
The Operative. I liked his introduction scene where he paralyzes that guy and makes him fall on his sword.
I like every scene he's in. He brings such gravitas to this character, and he speaks so differently than the rest of them. And he has this, and his overall thing is, I don't have a stake in this. I don't really care. I'm obeying my orders. But he doesn't do it robotically. He does it with a lot of passion and sincerity. And, it's a really
difference of opinion.
Really great assassin, kind of character. He does, this is a good death. The way he tells them.
Another scene that pops out now that I think about it is I kept saying, wait a minute, Sarah Paulson's in here. Where is she? Where is she? And she's Princess Leia. She's just a hologram.
There you go. That's a great key. Yes. She is.
She comes in at the end and lets everybody know what's really going on. And you basically get to see her munched by the zombies as they come crashing in at the end of her little telecast.
Yeah, I love that bit where she reacts and then she holds the gun up and fires, then she holds it up, and before she can pull the trigger she gets attacked, and then you just hear her screaming and being eaten. It's just, it's really good. I like the scares in this. I think even from the very beginning when you suddenly get that jump cut to River in the psych ward kind of thing. They do jump cuts really well. There's a lot of good zombies, the Reavers.
Well, I call them zombies, but they're an alien race, right, or something.
Well, they were created from that planet.
Yeah.
Because it turns out that the big ominous villain that everybody's afraid of was created by the Alliance accidentally when they wanted to pacify this culture. sort of thing, which is also very political, has a lot of political overtones to it. I'm sure Whedon would have done some big stuff with that had that been in the series.
I have a question though. I had spoke about the cast earlier being mostly, I say B actors because I saw them, like that guy that played the muscle guy, Adam Baldwin, played Jane. He's like on every USA Network television show that's ever been on television. I mean, he's just in a lot, but it's stuff that is not real mainstream, I guess I'm trying to say. And the guy Alan Tudyk that played Wash.
Tudyk, yep.
Sometimes this may sound racist and I don't mean it to, but sometimes I relate these people with like Canadian actors where they look familiar and they're good, but you don't really know what they've done.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it's because we're in America, of course, and we don't see some of this stuff. But I thought it was my question to you though, is I thought it was very bold that he killed a lot of main characters off in this. And I was wondering if he knew he wasn't going to go back and do any more. I guess he did.
Well, it's a very Joss Whedon thing. He did it before R.R. Martin or everything else of taking these principal characters and killing them off and making it very powerful when he does. A lot of people in fandom don't like the fact that Wash got killed the way he did. I'm a leaf
liked
on
his
the wind.
character. I
love
was
his character.
Shocked. Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the things, that if you listen to interviews or on the Bluetooth, the narration, when the director talks through it, the
commentary.
Where did my brain go? Anyway, if you listen to the commentary with Whedon, he says he knew that would be a shock. And he knew that it would be unexpected and it would have the resonance and the power that he wanted going into the last act. Was, anybody's vulnerable. It could all happen. Because he had already done it with Book. And he thought that, or Shepard Book, who was Ron Glass's character from WKRP.
Right.
But he thought he would, he thought that was what everybody would think.
Ron Glass
he had
is
to
not
kill
from WKRP. He's from Barney Miller.
Barney Miller. That's it.
Yeah.
That's right.
You're thinking of Tim Reed.
Tim Reed is Venus Flytrap. Yeah.
Yeah. Same era, pretty much.
Same era. But yeah, all of them have done lots of television. Many of them have done lots of voiceover work. I mean, Tudyk is now in a new one called Resident Alien, which evidently just got picked up for a second season and did very well.
I seem to remember when I was looking for what they had done, seeing a lot of voice work on a lot of these guys.
Yeah. Chiwetel Ejiofor is in Doctor Strange.
No, he's all over. He's like in Academy Award movies.
Well, we just watched him in The Martian.
Right. Right. And he started, I think, that run started with was it 12 Years a Slave? Or
yes.
Yeah.
Which he did with Sarah Paulson, right? Wasn't she in that?
Yeah, I think she was actually.
Yeah. But Gina Torres was in Buffy. She was in Angel. She was in The Matrix. She was in Westworld. So all of them have cred, and they're all competent and very good. Adam Baldwin. I remember as soon as I saw him again as Jane, I went, "Oh my gosh, that's that guy from Chuck." I'd forgotten that he was in this, but he was in Chuck. Which again, like you said, a USA series.
You're talking about Adam Baldwin. I mean, yeah, I've seen him in a million things, but I couldn't tell you the name of any of them.
Yeah.
I've seen his face everywhere, but I just don't watch those shows.
The two lesser ones you probably haven't seen a lot of are Jewel State, who played Kaylee, Sean Maher, who played Simon.
Right.
Both of them have done lots of episodic television, but nothing as a recurring character kind of thing where they get in there. Summer Glau has. She went on to do Dollhouse. She went on to do Alphas. So she's a huge con attendee. She does a lot. She's like kind of like a
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, but the girl that was the android in Battlestar Galactica, she was the Cylon.
The blonde. I know.
Blonde.
I can't think of her name.
And she does a lot of conventions and signs autographs and does all. So
and
does
I
Summer
always
Glau.
confuse her with the 7 of 9 blonde from the Trek series.
From
because I never watched
Voyager.
either of those series. They're just all kind of jumbled up in my head from pictures.
But yeah, I mean, so all of them came from the series. So all of them already had their characters down. They were
Oh
ready
yeah, I'm
to
sure.
do it. And that helps a lot when you're doing, something like this by Whedon, because he does this weird dialect stuff. A key for me is it's very Tarantino-ish. The fact that he develops this dialogue over here, but then the assassin comes in, he's all eloquent and nice and quoting and stuff like that. They quote a lot of literature. I love Mal when he talks about the operative goes, "Do you know who this girl is? She's an albatross, Captain." And she asked, he goes, "Seems to me an albatross was a good sign for a seaman until a bunch of people killed it."
Right.
And then he turns to her and goes, "Yes, I have read a poem."
Yeah.
So
That's
there's a
big
lot
key,
of
actually.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And there's just great dialogue in this.
Well, I read something about Nathan Fillion was so excited when they were coming back and that the sets had been destroyed, but they were able to recreate him because he was such a fanboy. He had taken pictures of all the sets when he first started the job.
He had not only taken pictures, he had taken pictures of all the blueprints. He had gone around and taken pictures of the blueprints. So that's it. And that's the only thing they had to use. Yeah.
Right. They had reference to all the set. They just recreated it from his photographs. But what made me ask that question a while ago is I feel kind of bad because it sounds like he may have intended to do more of these movies, but Hollywood called and said, "We have Avengers," and he kind of like threw them under the bus and went to do Avengers.
Well, also, it was made for 39 million. It made 40.
Right. It didn't make any money. I know.
No
I saw
money.
that. Yeah.
So I don't think, even if Avengers not called, I don't think there would have been.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And I had put those figures down because I was going to bring that up, because that's the gross worldwide, 40 million. I mean, it just made back its cost, and that's it.
Yep. It didn't make even back marketing costs on top, of everything. And the thing is, I keep saying I like, this is probably the second best, movie from television, because the way it ends is a good fitting ending. It still satisfies me as a Serenity and Firefly fan. And if there's never another one, I'll be fine. The same way I felt at the end of Wrath of Khan. Even though Spock died, spoiler alert, I'm fine with that. That's fine. I could have lived with Wrath of Khan being the last time we saw any of them. Yeah. And still had fond memories, kind of thing.
This whole movie, TV series to movie being second best and Trek being the first sounds like a challenge, but makes me want to find something else.
Maybe
The Walking Dead has not been made yet.
True.
Don't forget Wild Wild West. No, I'm just kidding. I don't like that.
But no, it has been made, but it wasn't good.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. But scenes, and then we've talked about cast, which is good. I don't know if you have other cast notes. Do you have other cast notes other than that?
I don't,
because I don't think he probably.
I'm glad that we talked about them though, because I do like a lot of them. I particularly like Nathan Fillion. I don't think we see him that much. Gina is fabulous. I love Alan. He's probably my favorite guy in the whole show.
And if you watch the series, which, I highly recommend, if you can find it, watch the 18 episodes, you'll like it. Their relationship is really great because, they're married, Wash and Zoe.
Right.
And they just have a really great rapport all the time with each other. Even when they're angry with each other, it's that really good, healthy marriage rapport sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
Whereas Mal is terrible at that. He's terrible at any kind of relationships, and that's kind of his core all the way through.
Now, I'm assuming the Operative was brought on for the movie.
Correct.
Okay, he's not in the show.
No.
Okay.
No. He is not in the show. It is to me a very strong cast. I think the cast works very well for it. Obviously, I don't think there were other people up for the parts, because I don't think he would have wanted to do it if he didn't have his original cast, sort of thing.
Right. I've got a few awards that I'll mention because this kind of ties into what we were talking about. The Saturn Awards, it was a winner for Best Supporting Actress. That was Summer Glau. and it was nominee for Best Sci-Fi Film, and that's of 2006. It was a Hugo Award winner for Best Dramatic Presentation, long form. And then it was also a winner of the SFX Awards in the UK. It won Best Actress, Summer Glau, Best Film Director, Whedon, and Best Actor, Nathan Fillion. But most of all, it was ranked number 5 in your favorite source, Rotten Tomatoes, as the 50 best TV adaptations of all time.
What do they think's number 1? Paddington's Bear?
You know what? I didn't look.
I'll bet they do.
I'm very curious.
It's probably some freaking. Never mind.
It's probably Wild Wild West.
Yeah, it's Wild Wild West. Yeah, had the best reviews.
But anyway, they did rank it highly in the same kind of category that you were talking about. So
yeah, I do. I mean, scene wise, you were talking about scenes. I love. It has a teaser at the beginning because we basically get the school classroom, and then suddenly we're thrust into the. She gets a needle in her forehead, and we're suddenly in the lab, and it's her being broken out of the lab by her brother. But then we suddenly cut to the credit sequence with Serenity, and that's it. It appears like it's one long cut, but there's actually an edit in it. Mm-hmm. But it's a 4.5 minute shot where you literally get to see the entire ship, every scene on the ship, and every character. Mm-hmm. And it's a great establishing development of all these characters and the interactions and the way they feel about each other.
Is that where they do the credits?
Yeah, that's where the credits are.
Yeah, it's like a very long establishing shot. I figured it wasn't real, but it looks real.
Yeah, it's one. Mm-hmm. There's one cut in it when they're going down the steps because that was on 2 different sets that are actually on the same level, kind of thing. But
yeah, and I loved after they went downstairs, they went from one room to another room, and the lighting changed. It went from like reds to blues. I thought that was really cool.
And the way when they finally went into the hold and everything, the camera followed them, but they're far away, and then it goes up, and you see River laying on the thing up above. I mean, it's just really well orchestrated shot. And this was, some people didn't know it. This was Joss Whedon's first directorial thing.
Right.
This is now
first film. Yeah.
Must say, because he had done quite a few Buffys that were spectacularly well directed. So he's used to it. This was just, he's got more bells and whistles to play with.
Well, and he grew up in television, didn't he? Wasn't his dad like a writer on the Golden Girls or something?
Yep. And again, I think it's probably genetic that he has always had such, ironic with all this controversy going on, but his works have always had extremely strong women.
Right.
And women who many people think are weak, who show that underneath they're very strong. Mm-hmm. He's always just been very good at that dialogue, at that writing, that sort of stuff. I mean, I was going to say one of my favorite lines is in that first scene when they're having all the trouble and Mal takes the thing and goes, you can have your attention, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be experiencing some slight turbulence and then maybe explode.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's why Jane goes, I don't want to explode. He goes, you won't. It's okay. Just there's a camaraderie. You know how we talked in the past about certain movies and like some of them, the director got everybody together for like a week or 2 weeks and they did literally rehearsals and you can see it so well reflected in the final product.
I think the last time we spoke about it was with Aliens and the crew that played the Marines and how well they seem to relate to each other and know each other. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's the way this is. There's such a camaraderie in the way they're delivering this dialogue, Alan Tudyk, when Mal goes, he goes, oh, and he goes, oh, what's that mean? What does that mean? He goes, oh God, we're all going to die. What do you want me to say? Mm-hmm. Kind of thing. But dialogue all the way through, I think, carries this story and this thematic, because basically the theme in this, sometimes they hit it too much on the nose, I think, near the end, but basically the theme is belief. What do you believe? Simon has always believed in River. He's always believed that she was special and was destined and everything else. That's why he swore to protect her. You know, everybody keeps asking Mal what he believes. And he basically says, I believe in the moment. You know, I believe in whatever get me the most money right now. I believe in whatever I have to do to get a job done. But it's not till the end when the operative actually tells him, do you really believe that what you're doing is right? Or that the girl is good and all that kind of stuff? And he says, yeah, I do. And so it's belief is all the way through it. You know, the operative, before he kills anybody, even tries to get them to believe their sin and what they're doing and the fact that it's okay to sin. People do it and then they die. That's what, you know. One of my favorite moments is when Mal's all pissed off because they've killed Book, who was his kind of mentor, the Ron Glass character, who was like really basically his mentor. And in the series, he's very mysterious. He keeps knowing stuff. Like there's a brief moment in this when he goes, they'll come at you sideways. It's the way they do. And Mal goes, you know, you're going to have to tell me how you know that. And he goes, no, I don't. And that line is a running gag in the series where suddenly they'll find a body, you know, and the preacher will go, these look like 50 millimeter wounds from a such and such. And Jane will go, how the heck you going to tell me how you know that? And he goes, no, and just walks off. So it's but you know, Mal is so pissed that he got killed. And then the screen comes on. It's the operative talking to him. And he go, you know, and Mal goes, I don't kill children. And there's that second pause and he goes, I do, if I have to. And you just go, oh my God, this guy really is a good villain. He's a good bad guy.
I like, and this is a key as well. You mentioned Star Trek keys. I mentioned Star Wars, but you mentioned Star Trek. And I think the scene where they have to fly and get through all those enemy ships, yeah, exactly, is very Star Trek. It's very Khan almost, you know, where they're trying not to be seen and to just get to the other side.
It also reminded me of almost every, you know, World War II or espionage movie where they're trying to sneak behind enemy lines with the ship, whether it's a submarine or a boat or whatever. You're trying to get through the docks and not be seen, and a lot of tension in there. It was really
a lot of tension. Yeah.
I like the fact that the whole crew was all together. They were all in the cockpit, kind of looking like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Now I had a key right before that I was going to surprise you with, which is The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah? What?
Because that whole scene is they had to put the skin on the ship to walk through the enemy so they wouldn't be seen.
Oh my God.
And I thought, oh my God, that's Walking Dead, where they had to wear the
I mean,
on
when
them.
I saw it, I was like, would that really work? Because it looks fake to me. I'm not
I was thinking,
Dead. I'm talking about the ship, the way they painted it. I was like,
yeah, and I was thinking, I don't know if that would work. But then again, the Reavers kind of cobbled together everything, so that might work. But then suddenly you don't join the fleet and you just kind of fly toward the mysterious planet. Seems like that would be a red flag. If I was a Reaver, I'd go, where's he going? Why is he going that way?
right.
You know? I mean, that seemed odd to me, that nothing happened, that they weren't followed down to the planet. Although that's another great scene, that whole sequence when they're there and everybody's dead. That was a really great sci-fi kind of feel to it.
It's also a very Star Trek feel, like when they go down to a planet and no one's around. Yeah.
Like Taste of Armageddon or
exactly
one of those. Yep. So yeah, those kind of are, no, it's not Taste of Armageddon, it's Operation Annihilate.
It is Annihilate. It was the last one we did.
Yeah.
Of the first season.
But yeah, that kind of feel of, is the impersonation going to work or not, kind of thing. Which to me is also a very Bond kind of thing. And that reminded me of another key, which is that whole final battle. The whole set seemed like a Bond set to me. You know, chains hanging and there's a big fan at the bottom turning and they're going to have to get across. You know, it's like, okay, I know you wanted this to be a backup projector for your digital world, but why would you make it that hard to get to? That seems like really, what's the point?
You say Bond, I was thinking like Star Wars, you know, when they're up really, really high and having
again, again, it's that I've got to fight above the reactor
Or the
kind of
fan,
feel. Yeah, or the
or
fan
the things
turning.
going like this in Galaxy
Choppers!
Quest.
The
Yeah,
choppers.
exactly. Exactly.
This episode was badly written. But yeah, um, I've got, we're doing keys now anyway, so that's cool.
Well, you mentioned the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, which is by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and that's where that whole
Yes.
albatross line came from.
Yes.
And
I've
that's my
got,
English lit nerd going on there.
I've got just, take the sci-fi elements out of this and you would have a Western,
It
because it
does
really is
speak
a Western.
Western a lot. And when they're on that planet with the Ron Glass character, that looks very deserty.
Haven is the name
Yeah.
of the planet. Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh yeah. It's, the beginning raid is where we're robbing, we're getting the payroll off before the train comes in,
Hmm.
kind of thing. And, even the characters they run into, they're doing it for these two kind of twins that could be like robber baron kind of characters, that are hiring them to steal the money and then bring it to us. We land in another port and suddenly we got to go to the bar.
I'll tell you something that confused me a little bit is that Mr. Universe character. Is he in the show?
That's a good question. I don't recall him being in the show. I do not think he is in the show.
Because I really liked the scene where they thought all was lost, but he had like somehow downloaded a message into the robot to tell them, the sex robot.
Yeah, before he
I
died.
liked that.
Yeah, that was a great kind of sci-fi little gimmick. Yeah, that was good. And again, a good scare right before that when, he turns around and goes, okay, where's my 30 pieces of silver, which is, okay, that's Judas. That's the Bible.
That key is the Bible.
The Bible.
Yeah, I actually wrote that one down somewhere. Yeah, Judas betraying Jesus for 30 pieces of silver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as soon as he does it, the operative kills him. And then goes, this is a good death. Again, nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
Well, he's supposed to be,
And speaking of Bond, I mean, that's very Bond-esque, having a very suave villain like that.
Having a very suave villain, yeah. Also, the little suspension of disbelief because, I mean, he kicks the crap out of Mal both times.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no reason Mal should have survived either one of those encounters with him, but he does. One by her because she created the explosion, and one by the fact that he'd been wounded and that ganglia doesn't work, that nerve cluster.
Right. He's scrappy.
He's scrappy, like you said at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's scrappy characters.
Just like some of the sets, he's a scrappy character. What else? This one I had to copy and paste because I don't know this at all, but Wash's line, I am a leaf on the wind.
Yeah.
When he's flying is influenced by a quote, I will bend like a reed in the wind, which was said by Atreides in Dune. Atreides in Dune, which was Kyle MacLachlan.
I think it was said by Duke Leto Atreides, not Paul.
Oh, well, I just copied this out of IMDb. They may have it wrong. I don't know.
Well, they're both Atreides, but one's his son, one's his father.
Oh, yeah. Well, it says by Paul Atreides.
Oh, okay. Then it may have been the Kwisatz Haderach.
Yeah, I had shortened it, but it does say Paul. I don't know. It could be wrong. I mean, IMDb has been wrong before. But anyway, so apparently that was kind of influenced from Dune. I don't know if it came out of the book. It may have come out of the book.
Probably. I don't remember it from the
because IMDb just references movies, but I mean that line could have been lifted from Herbert's book too.
Yeah,
so,
anyway. Could have been. Did you ever get lost in the movie? Did you think something was weird, or it didn't work, or it needed more exposition or anything? Because I'm curious, since you haven't seen the series at all.
Maybe at the very beginning, it took me a second to get into it because I was like, I don't know these people.
Yeah, you said that though too. Yeah, so I agree with that. Yeah, because he does throw you right into it. I mean, they're basically burning up in orbit when you catch them.
Right. And I don't mind that. I like things that start that way.
Yes.
But I don't know why I felt that way.
Well, because he's scattered. I mean, it's fast dialogue too,
Yeah.
and he's walking and meeting all these characters and doing it. Da da da. We crashing again? No.
Mhm.
You know? And he goes to Kaylee and goes, Kaylee, my ship don't crash. If it crashes, it's your fault. You know? And so you see so much, and you've got to catch up. And it's
do.
actually it works a second or third viewing. You get a lot more of that dialogue. There was one big line of dialogue that is said in the series as well that I like in this, which is I aim to misbehave. That became a huge like fan favorite. Put that on your T-shirt sort of thing if you were a lover of Firefly. You know,
Interesting.
I aim to misbehave,
Hmm.
sort of thing. But I think that's all the keys I've got.
I've got some that I lifted, like I said, from IMDb.
Yeah.
One was that the docking station scene, they wear Army of 8 uniforms that are apparently from the apocalyptic film Kevin Costner did, The Postman.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that, but that would be, I could see that.
I am not a Kevin Costner fan, so I've never seen that movie.
I did, but I didn't like it. It wasn't good. It was like Waterworld. He doesn't do post-apocalyptic very good. He should stick.
I mean, I liked some of his early stuff. I liked The Untouchables and maybe Field of Dreams, but after he started crossing into the Waterworld, I was like, I'm out.
I still like Dances with Wolves. I thought it was a pretty good one.
Oh yeah, I did. I think I like Dances with Wolves too.
But I think that was the last one I really liked that he was in. Yeah.
Yeah. He just seemed to. I started reading things about his ego, and he started irritating me.
Yeah.
In a much very similar to Tom Cruise. Anyway, another one was samples of the music from the video game Civilization 2. Using the fantasy Tolkien theme, apparently were lifted. I don't play video games, so I don't know.
I wasn't aware of that, but
then I read that Whedon himself said the Operative was influenced by performances such as Ralph Fiennes in Schindler's List, Tim Roth and Rob Roy, and Daniel Day-Lewis in Gangs of New York. But Gangs of New York came out after that. That can't be true.
I agree with that. I think that's not an influence.
But the other
plus
two
the fact that I don't
out
see it. The other two, Rob Roy, I could definitely see. Ralph Fiennes' character from Schindler's, I could definitely see because he was overly eloquent. I think even more so now, and it may be an influence that has a key that's carried over, is Christoph Weave's character in Inglourious Basterds.
Glorious Bastards.
That real calm, nice, you know, can you tell me why I sip this milk before I shoot your family? You know, sort of thing. That dispassionate kind of villain, I think, could have been an influence. I mean, this movie could
maybe
have
Whedon said this after he saw Gangs of New York. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Gangs of New York came out after this movie. That movie's not that old. This movie is almost 20 years old.
Yeah. I mean, Fillion went on to do what, 8 years of Castle or 10 years, something like that. He was in that series.
I forgot about that show.
Yeah, he was in that forever. So, but I just overall, I really like this film. I think the direction works, the pacing works, the music is really good all the way through it, and I think it tells some great science fiction in a more palpable way. Like my father-in-law, when he was alive, the only thing he would ever watch was Westerns.
Yeah.
And had I thought about it, I would have shown him this movie and he probably would have appreciated it. You know, it's got clear-cut white hats, black hats. What's happening? Here's the moral. Here we go. We're fighting for right and justice. You're the bad guy. You know, and a very comic book kind of look at the world sort of thing. So I think that works for now. I mean, like I could see the Operative being a Marvel villain. He could be a Marvel villain if he had some, like maybe his eyes grow green or something, you know, or whatever. But
no, I mean, I think he could be a Marvel villain the way he is.
Well, yeah, he could go along the lines of like Natasha and Hawkeye are both mortals or humans that, you know, just have personalities and attributes. So yeah, I could see that. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's all the keys I had. I'm surfing the internet and I can't find it, but I was really curious to see what those 5 movies are in Rotten Tomatoes. Now I want to know because it didn't have a link on IMDb. I just cut and pasted that little tidbit because I knew you would get a kick out of it. I didn't know you were going to talk so much about it, but that kind of.
Oh, another thing that I thought was interesting, you mentioned, the Princess Leia thing with Sarah Paulson's character.
Yes,
The research vessel. But, I really like the science fiction-y elements at the beginning when we're suddenly watching the escape and then suddenly it freezes and we realize we're watching a hologram of the escape.
And
then
somebody walks into frame.
The operative walks through it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. A very science fiction-y, very cool gag.
It is. It's been done so much, though, I couldn't really tell you what from because there's been so many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad we picked this one. I think Serenity is a great offshoot of Firefly, and it's a good standalone to me science fiction film.
Well, and it may not be the last Joss Whedon movie we do this season either.
What? Excellent. Anything by Joss is great. But next week we don't. Next week we're classicking next week.
Oh yeah, we're going back several decades, I believe.
Yes. To classic.
The decade of my birth.
Classic scary for you. Great, Tim. Thanks for doing it with us. For all of you guys out there listening or watching us, we want to say thank you so much. Tim and I are indebted every week that we get to do this, and it's thanks to you guys who support us. It's thanks to our Patreon on the Patreon page. If you're not a Patreon member, we urge you to please join for as little as like $1, $5 a month. You're helping us, keep a website going, but also we're giving you back some extra podcasts that we don't give out to the public, and some special features that we only do for our Patreon members. So we'd urge you to do that.
X-Files, unite.
Woo! If you don't want to do that, please subscribe, click, like, review, do all those fun things because keeping us going on the interwebs is kind of valuable and important to us. So.
Absolutely. And if you're watching us on video, as you will see, I've got these screens I throw up behind me. We're happy that you're here, and please subscribe and ring that bell. We've been getting more and more comments from YouTubers, and I love that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And if you agree with us, disagree with us, please let us know what you think. If there's a film you want us to review on the show or talk about on the show, let us know too.
Yeah, we do it well in advance. So you're still in plenty of time to get it in another season. So
yeah, Tim, always a pleasure, my friend.
Yes, me too. We will talk with you later.
Do you?
See you. Bye.
Going into the verse.
You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.